Hello and welcome back to another video. Today here again on Gran Turismo 7 for something a little bit different. Going to be showing you through some of the, well, amazing customization options that we have in this game. I first kind of discovered this on stream a little while ago when I modified this little Mazda MX-5, which, as you can see, has got some subtle body modifications, upgraded wheels, roll hoops, bonnet pins and that sort of thing, as well as a custom 787B orange paintwork. So yeah, it is pretty amazing, some of the stuff you can do in this game, so I wanted to put a video together kind of showing you through it. I think it rivals Need for Speed, in fact. Need for Speed rivals, yes. It rivals Need for Speed in terms of customization. Yes, it's not perfect, it doesn't have as many mad and wild body kits as Need for Speed, but they are available on almost every car. So yeah, in many ways I think it does rival that, yes. As with any game, it has its flaws, but yeah, overall I think the customization is very good. So as well as this Mazda, I've also built up this R32 Nissan Skyline GTR, which you'll see in a minute. It's on showing the interior at the moment, but once we get an interior shot, I mean, you can see the roll cage that we've fitted in here. Unfortunately, there are still back seats, which is a little bit irritating, but you might just catch a glimpse of the wing through the rear there. You can kind of make them, we'll get onto this in a minute, but yeah, as with the other cars I've shown, it's got custom wheels, you've got your sort of front splitter, you can remove the front grille, the livery editor is incredible as well, we'll get to that later, but you can make these custom wings and end up making a car that looks a bit like this. I've also modified this AMG GT Black Series where, yes, there are less visual mods, but as you can see by the colour, you can paint it in any real manufacturer colour. This is one of the Mercedes back catalogues of yellows. Even something like this massive luxury Genesis saloon has some incredible options, including, well, carbon front splitters, side skirts, rear diffusers, and, as you can see there, ridiculous wings, as well as the performance mods, which we won't get into too much today, but yeah, just look at the size of the wing. You can put on what would otherwise be a relatively sensible saloon car. And most recently I've modified this Mitsubishi GTO, which, yes, I have done in real Subaru colour with gold wheels, just because why not, that's kind of what you do with the Mitsubishi, but just to kind of show you can. And this one I have quickly gone into the livery editor and put some stickers and stuff on, which we will get into later on. So let's head on over to GT Auto here, which is where all the visual mods and stuff are done. We'll leave the tuning shop out of this for today. That's kind of self-explanatory. You go in there and put parts on like you would in any game. But I'm more interested in this, so let's head on over to GT Auto. So, welcome to GT Auto, the magical place in Gran Turismo where you can oil change Teslas, because of course you can. You might also have noticed at the bottom of that menu there's a wide body option, which, yes, may not be as wild as some of the wide bodies you get in games such as Need for Speed or even some of the bolt-ons in Forza, but these kits are available for almost every car in the game, including Ferrari, of all brands, have allowed this to be done to their cars. One thing I don't quite understand is why it's in the maintenance section of GT Auto, not in the customization section. Having said that most of them aren't that extreme, the ones on the Beetle, I mean, most of them do just stretch the wheel arches like this, but look how big those rear arches are. That is an excellent example of one of the better wide-body kits here in Gran Turismo 7. And then there's the animation for them applying it, which is worth the money to install it alone. Then we get off the maintenance tab onto the Customize Cars tab itself, where you can do many more things and will buy paint colours. So I'm going to do this first before we go and pick a car to, well, modify, because basically what happens is when you go in here you have to buy the paint before you can apply it to your car. It only shows you it on an example Supra, Lancia and VW, not on the car you own. So you have to come in here to buy paints before you then apply them through the livery editor, which is a bit of a faffy system, admittedly, but you might have noticed the choice of colours we have here. So you can effectively buy any real existing manufacturer colour here in this menu, which, yes, you could recreate them in Forza, but it's a faff and it takes a while. So, if we want to look for something, for example, Aston Martin's Madagascar Orange, it's here, and we just buy it, and then I've got that to apply to, well, any car I then buy, basically. There are a few kind of quite nice, important colours missing, however. Like, if we head over to Porsche, for example, there is no Miami blue. There are things that kind of look similar, but yeah, there's no Miami blue, and, well, some of them aren't actually that accurate, I don't think. Because if we head over to Aston Martin, back to Aston Martin again, this is cobalt blue, which I know for a fact is a lot darker than that, and Ocelus teal, I'm pretty sure, is not a satin colour, normally. So they're not always brilliantly accurate. Same goes for, if I can find it, hardly green, so-called because it's not green. But in reality it is slightly green. On here it's kind of, well, not. It should be greener than that. So yeah, they're not perfect, but everything, well, apart from Porsche's Miami Blue, seems to be available. There's things like, if we head to Mercedes-Benz, we've got Solar Beam Yellow, which I don't think looks as nice as the real one, but yeah, you've got some of the iconic manufacturer colours, and this is just one of my favourite bits of the customization in this game. Such a simple little thing, but it makes a huge difference when you're respraying cars, knowing it's in a real colour. So let's quickly pick a couple of cars to modify to kind of show you how it works in practice modifying a car. So I'm going to pick this for a couple of reasons, partly because it's a, well, commonly tuned vehicle, but partly, sorry Forza players, but because the model of it is pretty good in this game, unlike Forza, who have had, well, the same 3D model of this car since the Bronze Age, pretty much. So once we get the exterior view up, you'll see what I mean. It's just, it's so much nicer. The one in Forza is absolutely terrible, which I'm sure most of you will know if you play that game. But anyway, let's head back over to GT Auto and see what options are available for the Silvia. So we start in the maintenance section with wide bodies, because you have to apply them first. Basically, if you put the other aero bits on, then when you put the wide body on, it removes them and you have to buy them again to fit the wide body, which kind of makes sense. But yeah, as I said previously, it doesn't make a huge difference on most cars. It just sort of stretches the arches, but for the sake of this video, we will be putting that on the car. So let's begin on the first section of customization, the wheels, which are split into brands, which I quite like. So kind of looking at it like that, it doesn't look like there'll be very many, but if you go on a brand, look how many there are. There's probably more than there are in Forza, and kind of more quite different things, I think. There is a lot of choice. Now yes, you can repaint these, so it doesn't really matter if they're lime green or not. But yeah, you've got all these different brands, and each one has a lot of wheels. I usually just end up going for BBS anyway, because I'm not terribly imaginative when it comes to wheels. But yeah, obviously things like this wouldn't really suit this car. We'll have to come back with something quite different, I think, in a minute, as a second example. But yeah. I'm going to be boring as always and put, well, basically the same set of BBS wheels that I put on everything. But that's not all. Once you've selected your wheels, you can then select, well, what size you want them to be. I don't think bigger than 17 actually works on this car. You can make the rims themselves wider. So if you look how they fit in the tyre there, the tyres are kind of stretched if you go in wide. And then, of course, you've got the offset to sort of bring the wheels out. Although unusually on this car, it's only doing the rear wheels, which I've not noticed before. Then we come on to custom parts. I showed you paint colour earlier, that's where you buy the colours, rather than where you apply them. So if we come on here, most cars are kind of similar to this. I quite like how it removes the extra lights, but most cars seem to have a body-coloured splitter and a more aggressive carbon splitter, which I'm going to put on here. Then usually on the side there's the same sort of option. You've either got a sort of slightly different painted one or the extended carbon one, which always looks good. And then usually on the rear you've got the same, except the diffuser is usually, well, quite wild, the carbon one. And then we get to wings. So obviously you've got your wingless option, and then you've got a couple of kind of preset wings, which are actually quite nice on this. I've not really seen that before on here, the sort of ducktail style. But if for whatever reason the preset ones are not to your liking, you can then come on here and choose a low, medium or high wing. On this one they're all quite similar actually, but in some cars the largest one has like swan neck supports, which is pretty wild. But then not only can you do that, you can then come in here and choose your end plates. So we've got, for example, those absolutely mad ones that we had on the Skyline at the beginning that you saw, which I think suit this car quite well actually. So yeah, you can go absolutely insane with wings. Admittedly, a similar custom wing option was available in some of the previous Gran Turismos and was arguably better because you could choose more of the different parts. But anyway, it's here and it's pretty amazing. So those are your kind of normal body mods. But then if you go to racing items, you've also got bonnet pins, which I think these look better on the older ones. The sort of silver ones look better on slightly older vehicles. You've got your tow hooks, so you can have a sort of strap or that one, which on this car actually looks, well, a bit mad. It is a bit of a ridiculous thing to put on unless it's a racing car, but this is a track racer game, so, and yeah, unusually I actually prefer that one on this. And then, of course, you've got roll cages, but again, not only have you got one roll cage, you've got three options. So generally, roll cage A doesn't have a sort of cross brace at the back, roll cage B has a singular one, and roll cage C has a crossover, has two kind of braces at the back. Usually I like the one. Two's not necessarily needed. And then if we come in here, this isn't the best example because we don't have front grills or calipers, mostly because I haven't upgraded the brakes yet. So much like Forza, you have to upgrade the brakes to paint them. I think that's how that works. But you've got, well, choices of headlight bulb colour, which is a bit mad. You've got choices of number plate, so if you don't want a ridiculous number plate bracket on there, I mean, you can have an offset one, which people seem to like for some reason, or you can remove it, which I always think looks better. You can do the same with both styles. You can either have, but I think given we're only having the rear one, there's not much point having the bigger plate. You know what, it fills the space a bit better, let's go with that. Generally I remove the front plate, just because it looks slightly nicer. And then we get on to the main thing, the livery editor. So to begin with, of course, you've just got paint colours. You go in here, paint all, choose a special colour, including things like carbon fibre, and then, well, if we go through some of these, do I have any Nissan colours? I do, so that's a good example. We've got Nissan's Midnight Purple, which to me looks a bit too dark on this game. I'm pretty sure that doesn't look entirely accurate, but anyway, it's Midnight Purple. I've got to go for it. One of the things that irritates me is, well, pretty much any colour you can use for accents, such as the mirrors. So the obvious thing to do would be to put carbon mirrors on, which for some reason isn't allowed. It's only allowed as an entire colour, which is just ridiculous. And then, well, it makes you think, well, maybe you can do it the other way around. Put carbon on there and then... No. Not allowed. So yeah, that's a slightly odd choice to me. But there are some incredible colours, like the TVR Reflex Purple. But yeah, as it's a Nissan, we are going to stick with the Nissan colour for now. So yeah, all you can do with these is paint them. And that's actually another point. You can make, if for whatever reason you don't want any of the manufacturer colours, you can just make whatever you like. And I think, yeah, you can even go on here on a colour picker and, well, make any colour you like. So that's an option. But yeah, for now I'm just going to paint all of the extra bits in a nice black. Apart from the roll cage, which I think we should do in something ridiculously bright, like that green. Anyway, there you go, that's the basic painting. Now to, obviously you can paint wheels as well. To get into, well, decals in a second, I just want to show these quickly. You can put racing numbers on, which always looks quite cool, so I'm going to go with that and put on a 13. You can also put on, so it starts to look like a proper little racing car. You can put your driver name on. Can't do tyres or light covers on most cars that aren't GT3 or GT4 cars. So then we get into stickers, and you may have already noticed there's a window on there. We'll get to that in a minute. First of all, I just want to show off the mirroring system you have on here. So, well, to start with, you can select whatever camera you like, and if you don't want to use a preset camera, you can just kind of go like that. And there are millions and millions of manufacturer decals, so you don't all have to make your own. So if we pick just as an example, Gran Turismo, edit, you can put it anywhere, and unlike Forza, apart from the bonnet, which is a different panel for some reason, you can put it sort of over any edge. There's not kind of an edge to the projection area, so you can put it on kind of wherever you like. Bonnet is a separate panel, which is a little bit irritating, but I don't want to do that, so let's get out of there, delete the layer. So, yes, to put it on accurately, you'd need to do something like that. So let's get a Gran Turismo logo here, and just kind of place that there. Go finish editing. Right. Then if you go on here and go layer controls, duplicate to other side, because it's like a sponsored decal, it flips it automatically the right way, and it goes accurately to the right place, unlike Forza, which sometimes moves it up or down a million pixels. But not only that, if you want to put a decal on the rear, for example, and you think, oh, it would be nice to have matching, let's find matching BBS stickers. So like you saw on the Mitsubishi earlier, it would be nice to have matching BBS stickers both sides, about the same distance from the edge. You can also duplicate on opposite side on a rear or front bumper, which I think is just incredible, really. Well, it should be an option in everything, shouldn't it? But that's just brilliant. And yes, there is the all-important window stickers. So if you want, you can put kind of more sponsors on there. But you could also, if you wanted to, just because you've got the shapes and stuff, black out the rear windows. Or white out the... But you could do that, for example. Which okay, bad example, I've kind of made it go onto the wrong window. But you get the idea. You could do something like that. And then, of course, you could move it below that so that the GoPro sticker is still on there. Which is, it's just cool to have that option, even if I've not used it very well. But given I could probably spend hours and hours and hours making a livery, I should probably go away and spend some time making one. One other thing you can do, actually, before I go and do that, is you can, well, upload your own decals, which, in theory, is an excellent idea, But the way they've put it in is, well, the uploader, you have to go online on the uploader, and it really is less user-friendly than drowning. So it's not really all that useful. But you can, as you saw there, I did sort of manage to upload my sticker, because I thought it would be cool to have it on the number plates. But anyway, I sort of uploaded my sticker, so if we go on that, this is one of the, yeah, it doesn't really, you can only upload such tiny files, and they have to be in a stupid format, and it only accepts some versions of that format, and then the transparency disappears, so you end up with a big white box around your logo. So in practice, it's not really all that useful. Anyway, as I said, I'm going to go and finish this livery, make it look a little bit nicer, tidy it up a bit, and then we'll go and find a second car to modify as an example. So, the livery is now finished, which I'll show you in a second, but although I said we wouldn't visit the tuning shop, it is going to kind of be required, because I want to put some suspension on it to make it sit a bit nicer, now that we've gone through all of that effort to make the car look nice. And while we're here, I will just quickly show you through this, in case you haven't seen this part of the... Well, this is still customization, I suppose, in a sense. It's just performance modification. So, yeah, you've got your usual tyres, weight reduction, and bits like this, but you don't necessarily want to put these on, because then you'll have to buy these. So you want to kind of choose where you're building it to before you start, because obviously if you put street suspension on, then sport suspension's over here, it does all get a bit, well, confused. You can, of course, turbocharge things, although you can rarely choose to turbo or supercharge things, and often you can only upgrade to the aspiration that the car comes with. You've got things like body rigidity and stuff as well. You've got things like anti-lag as well, which I will give you a quick demonstration of if I remember to turn it on, which I didn't in a recent video I did with the Genesis. I hadn't turned the anti-lag on. I didn't realise you had to go and do that. So yeah, I'm just putting that on, and the suspension, just to make it look better and so that I can show you that. There are, of course, well, mad things like a nitrous system, which for some reason is 100,000 credits when money's hard to come by in this game, which is a bit irritating. You can replace the bodywork and engine if for whatever reason you wear them out, because that happens in this game, which is also pretty cool. But yeah, you've got mad things like steering angle adapter and hydraulic handbrakes if you want to go drifting, if you're a member of the going sideways community. Anyway, that's a quick tour of understeer engineering. Let's show you what the finished Sylvia looks like. So, here it is. We've gone into the Scapes Movies, which is a brilliant section in the garage, which shows your car moving through real backgrounds, so you can get a true idea of what it looks like in, well, proper lighting. This is, of course, being filmed on a PS4, and, well, I mean, look at it. So I can only imagine what the PS5 quality looks like. Yes, I've kept the green windows, which I'm not quite sure about, and yeah, I've just gone with a basic livery, but even just applying sponsors in a kind of basic way like this, but having them mirror effortlessly to the other side, just makes it so much easier. You don't have to spend, you kind of have an idea and do it. You don't have to spend time making it work. So yeah, you can end up with something like this, which admittedly is quite a basic livery, but very, very quickly. The only thing I find irritating is the numbers aren't... They go exactly straight, which sounds good, but you kind of want to angle them to match the angle of the side of the car, if you see what I mean, like I've done with most of the other stickers. But yeah, generally speaking, it looks... Well, I think it looks pretty good, and some of the visual mods you can do as well as the liveries, and the fact you can put things on the windows, I just think is... I'm kind of trying to show you what you could do, if you see what I mean. I've just done a very basic example. But anyway, let's go and find a not Japanese car to modify for something a bit different. So, second car I want to modify for today is the 2003 BMW M3, something I think will also have some, well, quite a number of options. As you can see, we've got a wide body, which is wider than a lot of them are, so that's going straight on. They are rather expensive though, these. So, the wheels, I am going to be rather boring and go for BBS again, probably. They just seem to have wheels that suit everything, pretty much. I do really like this set. I've ended up putting them on almost everything. But there are some kind of different ones available. So let's try and get something slightly different. Sure. I will change the paint colour so that gold won't clash quite so badly. I think, again, 20s are going to look too big. You can usually only just about bring them up one. Yeah, there you go. Both wheels come out on this, which is a much better example of how that works. I'm not sure what happens if you try and offset if you don't have a wide body. I'm not sure it's possible. I have gone in and bought a paint colour, which I'll show you when we get to the livery editor. But for now, just ignore the fact it looks like we at the moment. We will change that colour as soon as we can. Interestingly, both front bumper options for this car are carbon fibre. No, I will go for the second one. I wasn't sure for a minute there. We've only got one side skirt option, but that's quite incredible. We've got a diffuser, which sort of bolts on the underneath. And, well, those are hopeless, really. But we can, and that's a good example that you get the different wing supports. It's kind of like an M3 GTR, isn't it? Unfortunately, I'm going to want to put those on again. Let's try and go for something a bit less aggressive. That's a bit of a change from that, because we can't go around putting that on every wing. Let's try these. That looks better. Bonnet catches. Again, I think I prefer the metal ones, unless it's a really new car. Should we put that one on? Sure. And roll cages. Yeah, it's the same sort of thing. I'm going to go for B, I think, because that's the one with the single brace. Other light bulbs. I always end up just putting those on. Can we remove the plate? Which one fits better? That one. Rear only. Looks good. Right. Well, I'll show you the colour change, what we've got for that, and then I will go and create a livery, as I did with the other one, now that you know how it all works. But yes, here is Yas Marina Blue, which is of course a newer BMW M colour, most commonly used on the M4. I think it was the launch colour on that. Right, that's the basis of it. Let's go and make a full-on livery for it. Now, midway through making the livery for the BMW, I remembered I forgot to mention before the racing decals, where you've got your sort of engine electrical cut-off things and toe arrows, which in most games you have to make, but having them here preset is quite useful. So here is the finished BMW. I have ended up going with a similar sort of style to the others. I've kind of just put a list of sponsors down the side and stuff, but it shows what an effect you can make very quickly just by putting some sponsor stickers either side. I do rather like the orange roll cage as well. Nearly did the same on the wheels, but I think that was too much. Ended up going with matching blue on the wheels, which I think looks pretty cool actually. This is a really, really nice colour to have as a base, but yeah, just being able to put sponsors on that easily and make a design like this quickly. Admittedly, there's not really a design underneath it, it's mostly just sponsor stickers, but you get the idea, and it's very easy to create stuff, so potentially some more complex designs will be made in future. I will definitely go and play about with the livery editor more and do more of a design at some point. But this hopefully gives you a rough idea of, well, the levels of customization that this game has and why I've got so excited about customization in streams and videos recently. So there we go. That is the BMW. And back to the Nissan, showing you it in, well, in this menu rather than in the moving scapes thing. But because I forgot to, having put the suspension on, forgot to lower it completely. But anyway, I think all that's left to do now is to take the Nissan to somewhere with, well, some straights and many tunnels to quickly show you what the anti-lag system does. This is actually my first time trying it out. So, in basic terms, anti-lag makes your car do that, if you see the exhaust down there. Just gives it massive, massive flames. Now, I did make the mistake of not putting a race exhaust on. You have to do that first, and that is a massive exhaust we've got there. So you have to put that on, otherwise the anti-lag doesn't really do anything. I have also put a bigger turbo on, just to kind of increase the, well, flames, just to kind of show you what it does. But that's kind of all you have to do to make that happen, which is just another level of modification. And yeah, the exhaust does change visually if you change it in the upgrade shop, which is why we've got that massive exhaust there doing that. But that is basically what fitting anti-lag and a racing exhaust does to your, well, whatever turbo car you've got. In this case, the Silvia. But yeah, just wanted to show that quickly as the final little piece of modification before we finish today's customization video. So there we go. Hopefully that gives you a flavour of how brilliant the customization and some of the modifications and things are here on Gran Turismo 7. Why I love it quite so much, and why I've got quite so overexcited modifying cars. Things like that tiny little feature of being able to paint your car in a manufacturer colour I think is amazing. Having wide bodies on almost everything is cool. Yes, they're not necessarily the most aggressive, the most, well, wide of wide bodies in any games. They're not to the level of Need for Speed, but the fact every car has one, pretty much, I have come across a couple that don't, is pretty impressive. The livery editor is, well, a lot of the features I've shown you in it were the same in Sport, but having the additional layers and the window stickers are the two new things over that game is just great, and along with the body modifications that are now available in this game, and the, well, return of the older upgrade system, including things like that mad anti-lag that I showed you, is just overall makes it, I think, the best customization we've got in any game at the moment. Yes, Need for Speed might just about have it on the visuals and body kits and things, but for having the paint colours and the, well, more in-depth parts, upgrades and things as well here on Gran Turismo, I think means it just about takes it. And yeah, I'm gonna have so many more fun hours playing about with making some, well, cars like these here on this game. So yeah, I do absolutely love the customization in here. I think it's incredible, and yeah, do let me know if you've enjoyed this one, because I'll potentially come in and mess about with some more cars and do some more customization style videos, as well as the reviews, where I tend to customize the cars a little bit in those as well. But for now, showing you through the amazing customization in Gran Turismo 7, and kind of modifying a few more cars here on the game, that is going to be all for today's video. So I do hope you enjoyed that one, and I do hope you're, well, you found the customization as exciting as I did making these cars. But for now, for a kind of in-depth look at the customization here on Gran Turismo 7, that is going to be all. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with the next video very soon.